Hey, how you all going? It's Jai, that Aussie metal guy, here with Crannk.com. And tonight I'm having a chat to Jamie, vocalist for As Light Decays out of Perth. Cheers, mate, for joining me.
Yeah, my pleasure, man.
Yeah, cool, man. So first off, man, for the uninitiated dude, can you just tell me a little bit about how you would describe your sound and style?
We're pretty much like an old school sound. A lot of Pantera sort of elements to it, but a really like groove thrash metal. And I guess one of our biggest compliments is that people can't put a finger on our genre and our sound. So it's a real familiar sounding style of music, but people can't kind of grasp exactly
Heavy
what we're
metal.
sort of
It's heavy metal. Not everything needs a label on it. Sometimes it's like, it's just fucking heavy
exactly.
metal, bro. Just sounds good. Rock out.
Yeah, it's effectively thrash with a lot of groove element to it.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it as well for the people that got to put labels on it anyway.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, can you tell me how you guys first formed?
Okay, so the story goes back about 25 years. So myself and our guitarist Brett, we were in a band when we were teenagers, and yeah, we caught up, say, I don't know, 3 or 4 times over the last 10, 20 years, here and there. And then so he basically had an experimental sort of band with our drummer Bo. And so Bo and Brett come up with about 10 sort of demos and sort of basically experimental tunes. And yeah, so Brett's hit us up saying, how would you like to come and put some vocals and some lyrics to some of our songs? And I was like, yeah, man, too easy, sounds good. Rocked up to our first audition as such. And yeah, they both killed it basically. So I was like, oh, I'm going to have to be on my best game sort of thing, or else I'm going to get the ass pretty quickly. And yeah, so yeah, like pretty much hit it off. I guess for us, it's more about personality and having a good time more than, at that stage it was sort of, yeah, we all sort of got on really well. And yeah, what started off as a project sort of built up momentum. And then about 6 months down the track, we're like, we've come up with about 8 or 10 songs. We're going to need a bass player. So yeah, we auditioned our brother Googs, otherwise known as Gregory. And yeah, the rest was history. We sort of laid down a few tracks and yeah, put our first show on, and yeah, pretty much just kept that momentum building ever since, pretty much.
What was the first show like?
The first show was amazing, mainly because of everyone who came. I guess it was the closest of our friends, and they all knew the backstory. They all knew that the hard work had been laid down. It was a small tavern sort of style, battle of the band sort of deal. And it'll go down in history, basically. It was yeah, pretty epic. And yeah, it was pretty laid back, but it was also really intense. So I guess we put a lot of pressure on ourselves over the last. We took probably about 12 months of hard work before we actually hit the stage. So we didn't rush into it, and I think it worked out well for us because by the time we hit the stage, we were ready to go. And yeah, it was pretty intense and pretty fun at the same time, which is pretty much what we're all about: intensity and fun.
Yeah. So how did you get into vocals originally?
Well, I was pretty much singing in the band when I was a teenager, but we were doing covers. We were pretty much doing sort of like Master Puppets, Silverchair sort of stuff.
So how did you originally get into the vocal position? Like, what was it like going for your first, come in first time singing, and how did that all happen? What inspired you to get into this, man?
To be honest, it was more my writing. So I'm basically a lyricist, and effectively, I hate using the term, but a poet as such. I've been writing.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I've been writing for like years and years, ever since I was young. And so what my dream really was to be able to portray what I write and sing it on stage. So that was pretty much the goal. And so it still blows my mind, you know, like having stuff written down in the past that's never been read. But now I can write those things down and perform in front of a couple hundred people and stuff, and on the big stage. And
Yep.
you know, that was always the dream. And yeah, I was back then. I was hoping that, you know, the vocals pretty much supplemented what I wrote, and that's my singing style. Sort of basically sums that up. It's like I don't sing so no one can understand what I'm saying. I like to sing so people can understand the lyrics.
Yep.
Because the lyrics in our band is pretty much like critical to our message. So I don't want. I like some bands where everything's just like raw, raw, raw. But you know, like, there's no point in me singing that because I can't see the point of writing great lyrics and having people like bewildered by what you're screaming. You know.
Yeah, and it suits your style, you know. And the poetry is great. Like I get what you're saying. Poetry is so good. I've done the same as a young youth. I used to write down heaps of poetry and songs and like songs that I like come up with, and then I'd write down songs from bands, like lyrics that I'd love, and then quote their name. And I had a couple of books of that. Like Chris, I'd probably tell you the same. I'd be like, oh, I'll have a listen to this, and I'd do all that because we all grew up in the same town together in Loxton. So yeah
right. Cool. Yeah, I've got basically like a full file away, like hidden away that no one, only the closest people have read. And yeah, so I guess the hardest part for me personally was changing my style of writing from poetry, which is free writing, into structured songwriting. I guess it took me about, you know, like 6 months or so to actually adjust properly. So you can really, I can see the earlier songs that I'd written and how far they've evolved into the songs I'm starting to write now and what I've recently written. It's just the evolution of songwriting and telling a story, but keeping it to the point and structured in with writing a song, you've basically got to hit the nail on the head in as minimal amount of words possible, keep the syllables effective as possible, and it's a challenge, but I love it. Like some of the best stuff I've ever written's like just flowed pen to paper in the minimum amount of time, and it's something I love to do, and performing on stage is also, it goes hand in hand, you know. It's sort of
a real cathartic experience, I imagine, you know, saying that this poetry's come from a place, a very, you know, personal place as well, and then bearing it out there for everyone to hear as well, and turning that into a song format as well must be really cathartic, going up on stage as well and leaving that all out there as well, and the performances as well as the performances on the EPs and the album and to come, and all the music that will come down the road.
Yeah, that's it. And it's also, like so awesome to see how our guitarist Brett has evolved as well as a guitarist, and like coming up with these tunes. So when we write our music, we all do it as a team. So there's nothing, there's no formula to it. We basically come up with an idea and we just bounce off each other. You know, it's so unstructured that it just works perfectly for us. Everything about us sort of is just comes naturally, and it makes it fun. You know, if you're doing it out of a formula, out of like a cereal box sort of mentality, I couldn't imagine us doing that sort of style. I think it's everything has to become natural, and it seems to work for us. Yeah,
and it shows on the latest single, Mordrake. Can you tell me a little bit about that track and what that one means for you?
So basically Mordrake got released today. We've been performing it for basically about 12 months now, but it's just been sort of fine-tuned since then. It's a story of a supposedly mythical bloke who had so he was born with a person's skull, right, who would whisper bad thoughts into his mind. So while he was going about trying to live his life he'd have a second mind in the back of his mind, egging him on and being a deviant, and just causing him all sorts of hell. So we always thought, that'd be a great concept, because like a lot of people, the way they live their life, you've got a good side and a bad side. So you're sort of an evil side telling you to do things that sort of aren't going to sort of be the right way to go.
I get what you mean. I watched an episode of American Horror Story, I think, once, and it had a little head or something that would tell him to do things as well.
Yeah, they covered that. And there's also another band in Perth, a massive band. So they released Xenobiotic. They released their album recently, and that was called Mordrake. So we were like blown away and sort of like a bit flabbergasted when we realised they'd brought the album out. So we're like, oh, how are we going to go about this? Because we're releasing a single that another fellow Perth band's just sort of released the album with the same concept. So we hit them up and just sort of said, like, we've performed this song a while ago. It's been on our cards for a while, but we're going to release it soon. How do you guys feel about it? And they said like, oh, 6 songs. Like, so we were pretty stoked about that. They cut, perfect sort of scenario, and like Perth bands looking out for each other. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, the Perth scene seems pretty tight.
Concept idea. It's really massive, man. Like, I think that we actually tried to do the sums about how, because we just recently had Slayfest, so that was like 16 bands, 3 stages. It was an awesome night. That was just last weekend, and me and our bass player Googs were trying to do the maths, working out how many active Perth bands there are in the metal scene. There'd be at least 50, coming up to 70. But the best part about it is there's no animosity. We've played with about 20, 25 bands already, and we're basically just ticking off bands off the list who are like keen to put shows on together. And it really helps, It's like there's no real grudge about it. Everyone's just out having fun and looking out for each other. We've had a couple of bands that have become really tight-knit with us and that. And it's just, it's a blessing, because you don't want to be, it's not a competition. Life's not a competition. And metal isn't a competition. For us, it's just about having fun, getting friends and, looking out for each other, basically. And it's pretty cool.
And helping each other up. Helping each other up as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly, what was Slayfest like? That would have been really
never
good.
Take anything for granted. It was crazy. It really was. We went to the one last year. They had Phil Anselmo over here last year, and some massive bands. So it was a bit of international bands coming over last year, whereas this year, obviously, it just had to be WA, and I think this year was better than the last one. It's just really well organised. The dudes from Hornography, they have a monthly metal night over here, the last Saturday of every month. So they organised it, and basically it's really well structured, and everyone looks out for each other. We're pretty honoured to be part of it,
That's what I was hoping for.
Pretty big things ahead.
That's what I was hoping for, Jamie, with shows like that the borders do stay closed for a while, and helps lift up the Aussie scene a bit. Bands like yourself, As Light Decays, and we're saying Xenobiotic, and the shows like Slayfest, and all these different shows where Aussie bands can really shine, because we know how much quality is. You were saying like the 70 bands, and all of them, no doubt, quality bands. Like, we've got so many quality bands in Australia that are just totally unappreciated. They'll go overseas, pack houses or whatever, they come back here and it's bugger all. So I'm really hoping that people get and we get a chance to get our scene in Australia really, really strong. And the live shows, everyone gets along and sees these Aussie bands, get a taste of what is here in our own backyard, and then go, fuck, okay, maybe I'm going to go see this band, instead of going over there.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess it's for people who are stuck in that Metallica and the Slayer mold. It's like they're the bands I grew up with. But if you expect that to happen forever. These bands are going to retire soon, as Slayer already have. Who are the next bands coming up, and what's there to look forward to? You can't keep looking back; you got to look forward. And so we've got a really strong scene in Perth, and we're pretty blessed with it. It comes with the fact that most isolated city in the world, so we're pretty lucky over here. But yeah, I guess the only downside is the fact that we had Thrash Fest in Melbourne in December, so that was our biggest gig to date coming up, and obviously that's postponed, and we'll have to hold off for that. But that's going to be a big one. There's some massive bands on that bill.
Oh, so. Yeah. There's a lot of great bands. It gives you guys a little bit more time, I suppose, to knuckle down and lay down some more work and work out what the next step is. Can I ask about the artwork and the imagery for Mordrake? That looked really cool, eh?
So our drummer Bo is our artist as well. So he's like a absolute machine, basically, and like it works out perfectly for us because a lot of the stuff we do is in house. So Bo's our artist, Brett's our tech guru, Brett's our guitarist, and I do all the lyrics and stuff. And it works out good. We don't have to pay a middleman to come in and do stuff, and that feels artificial. I guess everything that we do in-house just comes naturally, and Bo's just nailed it once again. He does he's done our logo, our banner as well. Pretty much everything going forward, we're going to utilize Bo's skills, and I think he's got his own personal style that fits our musical style.
Yep.
And it's just a natural look. It's not something I've seen some bands that utilize that go full on with their art, and we want to try and keep things pretty simple and to the point.
Yep.
And I think with our banner, I think our banner is going to be our debut album. It's going to be the cover for our debut album. So it's a pretty striking image. It's the skull with the sort of stars in the background. I guess it's sort of similar to Offspring's Smash.
Yep.
With their debut. So it's just a real iconic sort of simple design that people will remember. And I guess, that's sort of what we're after. It's catchy tunes and simple imagery that people can sort of get stuck in their mind, Yeah,
I do. Are you able to talk about the album at all, or just keep it under wraps for a little bit longer and wait till the next chat, Jai?
No, it's what we were planning to do was release it before we went to Melbourne.
Yeah.
So, but by Melbourne, sort of nothing's been announced about the Melbourne gig. It's the 5th of December. It was Thrash Fest, but obviously it's sort of looking towards 2021 now, which feels like the future, but it's not that far away.
Yeah, I know. It's been a crazy year.
Yeah, it's basically we've got about 14 or 15 songs under our belts that we're going to work with. The album will probably be narrowed down to about 8 or 10 songs, and we're just starting to look back at a few of our older songs and starting to like reboot them a little bit as well. We've got like plenty of ammunition. It's just about see what we want to do, but it's looking early 2021, and it'll probably be another single between now and then released that we've got in mind.
Awesome, man. Hopefully get you guys over to SA if you're going to be skipping over to Melbourne in 2021. Maybe come through Adelaide and put on a gig as well, do a little trip across 100%. The bottom there. That would be really, really cool, man. I'm looking forward to the album, dude. I don't want to talk too much about it because I want to wait till it comes out, and we'll have another chat then, hopefully, when you're gigging, man. But before we sign out, Jamie, this has been absolutely cool chat. So massive shout out to Chriso for fucking sorting it out, bro. And
hell yeah.
Dude, before I sign out, last words, shout outs, thank yous, or anything I may have forgotten to add in there.
Yeah, I guess the big shout outs to Ryan Pierce, Savage Studios. He's done our mixing and mastering for our 3 singles so far. Done a great job. So obviously anyone WA or in Australia, mind you, he's production-wise, is the man to hit up. Savage Studios, that is. Justin Burnett, we've worked with him on our last music video. So that's Descent from Above on YouTube. It's a pretty cool video. We only released that about a week and a half ago, and that seems to be like catching a few. That's pretty much a skater-based video, so yeah, it's worth checking out. Basically, I guess a few bands in Perth. Baby Suspect, we're playing with those guys on the 10th of 2020 for their drummer Luke's birthday. So yeah, it's going to be pretty mad. They're a great bunch of blokes. So yeah, check out Baby Suspect's work. They're similar style to us, except a bit more technical, I guess you could say. But yeah, absolute machines. Cage the Hate, All This Filth, Perth bands that are just like dominating, but all around good blokes. I could probably name about 30. We'll probably be here another 30 minutes if you lay down a few other bands. But yeah, I guess everyone who's sort of helped us out along the way. And yeah, I'll probably got about another 10 more people I could out, but I can't remember off the top of their head. I'll probably think of them later on. I go, you know.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's yeah, I guess we've got a couple more exciting things coming up. Yeah, so stay tuned, and yeah, check us out on YouTube, Spotify and Facebook and stuff. I guess
the best place to support you guys other than Spotify, Bandcamp. Like I forgot to chuck in there. Best place to support
Bandcamp. Yeah, we're Bandcamp's down to earth, ground roots. Place you can go that basically covers all the bands that are starting up, and I guess yeah, that's the most organic place you can go for great tunes. Another band who's up and coming, they're a two-piece band in Perth called Jam Art. Jam Art's basically they're just really organic music, so they're worth checking out. I'm going to go do a cameo with their vocalist Ershon this weekend. Cool. So yeah, at an all ages gig at Vision Studios, so that'll be pretty cool as well. Yeah, I guess yeah, we're really grateful to be doing what we're doing. You know, doing what we love in a city that's free, and yeah, hopefully everyone else can sort of you know, get to experience a bit of freedom really soon, and we can all get back to normal soon, and you know, look out for each other basically, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, staying safe, doing the right thing so we can all get back to fucking gigs again, guys.
Exactly, man. Exactly.
Cheers, Jamie. This has been a massive pleasure, man. Cool chat. Look forward to our next chat, brother. You take it easy.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Thank you very much. Cheers, mate.